Welcome, Voices for Children supporters. Today we're going to be talking to one of our amazing courthouse dog duos, Dayle and Lorne. Our courthouse facility dog program supports kids in the court dependency system in a variety of ways. Dayle, Lorne, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules to talk to our viewers about the important work the two of you are doing with foster kids.
Thanks for having me. I have been working with Lorne for the last 4.5, 5 years. I worked for Voices for Children in an administrative way while I was applying for Lorne. I have always been passionate about kids and dogs, so this job really couldn't be more perfect for me. So when I typically go to a facility to meet a child, it's obviously for the first time. Lorne's never met this child's never met Lorne before, so we definitely have to go through an introduction. And Lorne has a visit command, so if I'm walking up to a child, I will obviously or automatically ask, like, do you like dogs? Are you scared of dogs? And once that they are, let me know that they're not and they're comfortable, he will walk up and kind of like put his head how he has his head on my knee right now. He'll walk up to a child and put his head on their knee, and that is a visit command. And then that gives the child an opportunity to be comfortable and pet him and kind of just, obviously not bond within the first few minutes, but develop a rapport with the child, and then they feel more comfortable with each other. He also has, he can high five, so kids love that. He can also he'll shake hands. So there's a lot of engaging kind of commands that he does with kids. He'll pick things up off the floor, so he has a get command. So if I threw a toy on the floor, I could say, Lorne, get. He would pick it up and then give it to the child, and they love to be able to kind of boss him around, and so to speak. They're able to tell him to do something and he'll listen, and kids love that.
It's an icebreaker, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, we're an icebreaker, we're a distraction. These kids know that they're going in to talk to somebody, typically in court or at the Child Advocacy Center. They know that they're in there to go speak to somebody, but then he's a pleasant surprise, and that we're able to kind of distract them for a little bit, and they can think about other things before they go back.
Let's talk a little bit about what types of interactions in the system that you guys support the kids through.
Okay, so he is our courthouse dog. So at court in Tampa, we will participate in dependency trials, sometimes hearings, sometimes a termination of parental rights trial if a child wants a dog there to help and support them while they're there in court. We also do criminal trials, so we're requested by the state's attorney's office to help a victim and be on the witness stand with them. We also have now signed an agreement with our U.S. Attorney's Office. So over the last year, we've done, I think, about 5 or 6 federal trials as well.
So walk us through what it's like at a criminal trial. What is your and Lorne's role at that trial?
So usually it's a full day. We'll get there probably around 8 a.m. The victim is usually already outside of the courtroom in a victim room or a victim witness room. So we walk in there, most often it's our first time at meetings. Sometimes we're there with the victim for some child prep. So we've met the person before, but typically that doesn't happen. So it's our first experience meeting. We'll go into the room. I typically have a bag of coloring books and crayons and things to keep us busy as well during the day. But Lorne will go up, introduce himself, the same what I had said before about he'll do a visit command. They usually want to know a little bit about what other things, and they usually ask, like, what other tricks can he do? And I'll kind of explain that it's not really tricks, it's commands, and that he's went through a service dog organization. So he has kind of engaging, interacting commands, and we'll go through those, and then we kind of do a lot of distracting, a lot of talking, a lot of coloring, and sometimes the child will be on the floor almost resting on him like a huge pillow, until it's time for her or him to go back and testify. And when that happens, if it's a jury trial, the jury is excused. The child will take Lorne's leash. We'll walk in together. He'll go into the witness box. He curls up in the corner by her feet or his feet, depending on who's testifying. And they'll hold his leash. I will walk back, go sit down. The jury comes back in the room, and then the attorney will start questioning the victim, and nobody is the wiser that Lorne's there. He stays sleeping the whole time. They feel safer, and they feel like they are supported, that they're not up there alone, because I hear often from the victim, they'll say to me, I know that Lorne couldn't speak for me, but it was just really nice that I was not there all by myself that day. And then after they're cross-examined, and once that testimony is over, the judge will kind of make an excuse that he'll take a break, and he'll excuse the jury, and then I'll go back up, get them, and we'll walk out of the courthouse, and we go back into that little room, and we wait. Sometimes victims, just once they're done, if they're released, they just want to go home, and they'll hear the results from their attorney. Others want to stay, and when they want to stay, we stay. So sometimes I've entered the courthouse at dark. It's still dark in the morning, and I'm leaving, and it's dark at night. And the other ways that I would support at the Child Advocacy Center would be medical exams, forensic interviews, and depositions.
Can you walk us through those different kinds of interactions?
So they go to the Child Advocacy Center. There's a fun waiting room there. They have toys, they have games, they have books and coloring books and all these things. So I get to interact with them while they're there, waiting to be called back. So again, Lorne does a lot of circling in the waiting room. They'll take his leash, they'll take him, they always ask, can I take him for a walk? And they'll walk, and they love that they can tell him to, Lorne, sit, Lorne, shake, Lorne, do all those kind of things. And so if there's a child that was a little bit nervous to go back for his medical exam, the nurse will say, oh, do you want to take Lorne back with you? And so then that makes them feel better, because when they go back, they don't go back with an adult. They may have been brought to the Child Advocacy Center from a parent or a caregiver, but the caregiver doesn't go back to the room with them. So often it makes them feel better if they can bring Lorne. Now, I wouldn't go back with them. I will walk back with them, but I don't actually go into the medical room. So they have a dog bed they put on the floor by the child's examination table, and he lies on the floor beside them, and I will just wait outside the room. Sometimes I can hear them laughing, and I know that maybe Lorne did something silly, or sometimes he'll try and get up on the bed with them. Again, icebreaker. He's able to, provide something that a human can't that day, and they're not as scared to go back in the room. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Give us an example of what it's like when he's supporting a child during a deposition.
When we're helping with a child in a deposition, both parties have to be okay with having the dog in the room, and that has to happen first. We go back to the room. It's kind of like a really small conference room. The child sits at the end of the table, and we have a raised dog bed. So Lorne jumps up onto the raised dog bed, sits beside the child, and both attorneys, the defense and the prosecution attorneys, are in the room, and they're asking the child questions about the case, preparing for the trial. And Lorne is able to, sometimes he's sleeping, sometimes has his head on their knee. I mean, the dog bed is like right beside the child, and it's very casual, and they're able to answer. As long as they're answering the questions, it's fine. If the child needs to get out of the chair and sit on the floor beside the dog, that's totally fine too. So it's really a very child-friendly environment, and it makes me really happy that we're providing some trauma-informed care for these kiddos, and they're able to tell their story, but on their timeline.
Okay. So he's just a wonderful big furry security blanket.
Correct.
What's better than that?
Nothing.
What do you see most often as the change, if there is a change in the kids' energy and behavior once Lorne comes into the room?
Funny that you asked me that, because sometimes I walk in and I'll see that there's already, maybe a couple teens sitting on the couch waiting to be called back. And I'm not being specifically requested for a lot of these cases. Sometimes they're just at this child advocacy center waiting, and I show up because I know that there's some appointments that day. So then we'll have these teens that will look at me and hardly acknowledge me. But I'll still walk up and like, oh, do you like dogs? And Lorne would love to say hi. And they will tolerate me maybe for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden I see that they're starting to pet him, and then I see that they're kind of calling him over, and so I'm always surprised that there's some kids that I think I'm not affecting, like this child doesn't need me, doesn't really want us there, and then this guy wins them over, and then they realize that they're asking if they can take pictures with him, and like, so I just know he changes the whole mood of the day. They came in not expecting to have a dog change their attitude, and at the end of the day they're saying, can I take him home with me? If I had a penny for every time I heard that, I would be doing pretty good. I mean, everybody that is interfaced with him, it just makes them a little happier. I think it's so important just to show up, right? And often somebody in their life hasn't showed up for them, which is why they're in the situation that they're in. And when they hear from me, they'll ask me like, why are you here? And I'm like, I'm just here to support you. Like, this is what we do. And they can't wrap their heads around it. And they can't understand why I'm just showing up when I don't even know them, but I'm still. And I think that's what's so important, is that just to show up for our kids. And Lorne shows up and he doesn't know anything about anything. He just wants to support them, and I think that really opens up their heart. I think I have a passion for kids, and I have a passion for dogs or animals, and this job is just aligned with both, and it's like a dream job.
You don't hear that from a lot of people nowadays, right?
So it's sad. I'm not going to say it's not sad often, but then there's also like those cases that kind of like, okay, this is why I do this, we made a difference, and then we get to like also celebrate in adoptions, and that's really happy to see a case from somebody that was independency to go to adoption is very rewarding. So there's many positives and a lot of sad days. I have another dog at home. I have a little French bulldog, Ziggy, and they are besties now. They were not always besties. Ziggy had a hard time accepting another dog into our family, but now they are best friends. But when we get home, I am super diligent about taking Lorne for like 2 walks a day. I mean, first thing in the morning, I like to start his day with a good walk before we start, and then at the end of the day. And then he plays with Ziggy. They play tug of war. Everybody at work always tells me when I'm working that he looks so sad and he's so quiet. And I'm like, I promise you, when he gets home, he destroys toys. And He'll run after a ball but never bring it back to me. But he acts like a normal dog at home, and I like to do like normal things. And after a long trial day, I like to give him like that next day off, because I also hear from a lot of people that, oh, I would like Lorne's job, and by no means he has the best job in the world. I mean, he gets to hang out with, children, and he lives a great life, but he also has to like sit still for a long time, and he'll be on a couch with a child who could be like pulling at his ears and doing all kinds of crazy things, and Lorne stays where he is because he knows that that's his job. So it is being restrained a lot of times, even though it may look easy. He's still doing things that my French Bulldog could never do. I would never ask Ziggy to do half of what Lorne does on a daily.
I mean, I have noticed in some past videos that Lorne quite likes a good swim on occasion as well.
So I don't have a pool at my house, but I definitely bully my way into all of my friends' homes that have pools. He loves to swim. He He even loves to go for when I go for a bike ride, he'll run beside me. He's awesome.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to our community and share what your day is like, and the very important work that you do that we know ripples out in all these kids' lives in ways we can't even imagine.
Thanks for having us.